Kita tutorial next week kan? Next week. Oh, boleh dah start lah kalau ni. Tapi tengok banyak mana yang kita cover. You can utilize the chat if you want to chat. Chat means you want to ask question ke apa ke. You can stop me at any time. Baru keempat. Kita ada 70 lebih. The last class for the day, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Pernah ada Mak Saleh ni, dia datang Malaysia tau. So naik basikal, old lady, roughly about 60 years old, and she was alone. I stopped her and asked question. Kata, yalah kita curious kan, dia tua naik basikal, worry about her safety and things like that. That was, I think, 15 years back. But I was wondering, I said, macam mana, how do you manage to naik basikal, from all the way from Europe until here? Dia kata it's normal, cuma dia kata Malaysia ni panas. I said, so what can you compare with your Western world with regards to how we as Malaysian or Eastern people behave? So kata, I think your attitude towards life is slightly different from what we are seeing from the West. I said, what was the reason? Do you think why we are in that nature? So dia kata, I think because of the weather. Weather plays a big role, because kalau panas, you be like, kata tak nak buat apa-apa, you just don't want to do anything. You become passive rather than active. I fikir balik, I think I have to agree with her, because we Easterners panas kan, because of panas we become more passive rather than active. We just want to do anything. So dia orang banyak aktif because the climate, jalan macam mana pun tak perlu, and they have that the ambience is good for them to do exercise and things like that. My wife agree when she was there dekat Australia, when she studied her master there. Dia kata jalan is normal. I mean, for everyone to jalan. Kita ni kalau nak jalan mati, bakar badan. Okay, shall we start? 43 minit, 61 orang, I think good enough for us to start. I don't want to waste any of your data. I'm sorry, I tried to find the videos with respect to the initial stage of the class, looking at the content and things like that. I couldn't find it. I don't know where it went to, but I think we go through online this time. Hopefully, next time I can find the videos and I'll put it up, the recording, for you to be able to not have this session where you are exposing your data. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome everyone to the class for the first class of juris. And as I already mentioned about juris, first we need to look at the background of the study. Why do we need to learn jurisprudence? Before we understand why, let's look at the what. So it's good for us to ask questions. Now, that is why promoting you to stop me at any time. Either you want to chat, uh, you do your asking through the chat. If you feel uncomfortable talking, you can always stop me, sir. Excuse me, I want to ask this question and things like that. Anything, anytime. Yeah, anything, anytime. Related to the topic ke tak related ke, hentam saja ya. The fact that this paper is supposed to let you, as I mentioned, let you free your mind in order for you to question anything. So if you don't feel intimidated, don't worry about me, getting annoyed with your question. Uh, just ask, yeah. Okay. So basically, law is about us to polish our mind to be good thinkers, yeah, good analytical thinkers that we are able to see things clearly and not let anyone what they call it and cloud our mind, yeah. So we are supposed to have that clarity of mind. So why we need that clarity of mind? For us to be able to make decision correctly. So in order to do that, we have to ask questions. In order for us to know the truth, we have to start asking questions. And the best is the four wife, one husband, what do you call it? Words. So the questions, what, when, where, who, and how. You know, this is the basic of getting knowledge. In terms of we have to ask. Yeah, questions of that nature. What is jurisprudence? So, if by definition, jurisprudence is juris, of law or of right, and then prudence is the ability to convince oneself by the use of reasons. So, you are able to use your reasoning towards understanding law. Okay, so it is, by definition of dictionary, the theory of philosophy of law. What is philosophy then? Philosophy is love of thinking. So philosophy, if you look it up, the definition, philosophy is love of thinking. Thinking about what? Thinking about law. And in order for you to think about law, you have to come out with theory, right? Normally, yeah, it's normally people talk about theory in order for them to try to portray their opinions about the law. Okay, so therefore, jurisprudence is the legal philosopher's opinion of law and what is really is and how it should be. So basically, there is two questions here. uh, it is about what it is and what it should be, or we call it ought. Yeah, is and ought. So you look it up in the internet, you will see the various argument or articles, yeah, or books talking about is and ought argument. Yeah, and there are many philosophers that is talking about this, and this actually, the question starts from way thousands and thousands of years. What you need to do, it is what it is and it ought to be, something, something that is based on reality, something that is based on uh, element of what people think that you need to do. Okay, so jadi therefore the legal philosopher's opinion of the law, and the legal philosophy of how law works and why law is important. Because if we have studied so far, looking at all the studies that you have made from assessing until now, you have learned how the law works, yeah, and it is not enough for us to understand how the law that we have learned so far works. We need to know why those laws are important. Where does it come from? Why is it prevailing element for us to follow that type of law in order for us to apply to the problems or to practices later on? Yeah, boleh eh? And if you look at this particular person smoking, you surely have formulated what they call it, an opinion. So as I already mentioned, this particular situation is, if every one of you looking at this picture, you definitely will formulate an opinion. Some would say, I don't know. Can you chat and put it up as what do you think right now, looking at her smoking? Anyone? What do you think? Your personal opinion, not the legal opinion. You can utilize the chat uh, in the chat box. No one?
It's a
Smoking is
bad
bad.
thing.
It's a bad thing, harming
It's not
her.
good for your health.
Inappropriate. She doesn't care for her health, right? Lagi? Wow. That from this chatting response, you can see that if we take that is law enforced in Malaysia anymore. Uh, Smoking law is not enforced. Okay, is it? Hezbollah?
Sir, for me,
Yeah.
the girls are just being natural, and then it's not wrong for her because she has
Uh-huh.
the right to smoke. Because
Yeah, she has the right to smoke. Individually, I mean, she is in her room. She can do whatever she wants, right?
yeah,
In her private space, if she is not able to cause any harm to other people, which harming itself is debatable, right? Smoking, yeah. She looks satisfied. Okay, she looks satisfied. Freedom. This is what the law entails us to do whatever we want, as long as we don't commit any crime. Even crime itself is being defined as what the law says. Yeah. If you were to take drugs here in Malaysia, it is wrong. But if you were to take drugs in your own room, nobody knows and nobody cares, right? So how come the law becomes so busybody with what you do in your private domain? If you look at those people in the Western world, they can do whatever they want, especially when you're talking about drugs. They can take drugs and they can grow drugs. Yeah, in America, in Europe, yeah, they can plant your own marijuana and things like that. Okay, so from what I'm trying to do with this exercise is looking at your response. Yeah, looking at your response. Some of you say A, some of you say B, some of you say C. You know, each one of you have your own perspective of looking at this particular picture, and you have set your mind to what you think of what she needs to do. Yeah, she has every rights to do. She is not. She's. It is bad for her health. If she is pregnant, no, she's too young to be pregnant. But if she is really an adult that is pregnant, it affects her. Baby. Yeah. So every one of you is actually can be categorized as either one of these. Yeah. So either you are naturalist, positivist, liberalist, moralist, historicalist, Islamic, feminist, and quite a number more of approach. Yeah? You might be a Marxist. Only upon making this small statement whether she is having her rights to smoke, right? If she is smoking because you are looking at it as that is her rights, she can do whatever she wants. Obviously, you are a liberalist. Okay, if you are saying that smoking is wrong, yeah, against the law, then you are a positivist. Uh, if you're looking at it from the perspective that this is something that is naturally done, everyone have every rights to think whether their action is going to give them positive or negative outcome. You will be called a naturalist. Some would say that is haram. Then you'll be looking at it from the Islamist point of view. So actually, we are looking at things from the perspective of what the jurist has already identified. Okay, when we are judging something about the law, whether the law is like this or the law should be like that, then we are actually putting ourselves under that category of jurists. Okay, you might be saying that we are looking at the jurist point of view. No, we are looking at our perspective. That is why when I ask you to come to class, you just ignore your fundamental belief that you have. Then we will be able to look things in a new perspective. Okay. Right. So what is juice so far? Questions? So far, any questions? Maybe she's having a bad day. Yeah, only, yeah. Maybe. Yeah. So people do what they need to do in order for them to release themselves. Okay. What is jurisprudence in terms of okay. You have learned so far that law have some basis of objectivity. There is an objective of why you are learning that law. Say, for example, you are learning land law. What is the objective of land law? What is the objective of learning land law?
To learn the rights and liabilities of landowners.
Yeah, the rights and liabilities of landowners, right? Once you establish the rights and liabilities, then you will be able to say that particular person have the right to claim his rights, or to depart from the land that he or she is having, to sell it off to somebody else, to sue. You go through that process. If later on in the next 5 years from now you want to buy a land, so obviously you have to go through the process. Yeah, the process, meaning the procedure of buying a land, and that is entailed in the land law, right? The national land code. And the objective is to make things clear, yeah, to be able to have a system, yeah, a concrete system of land administration in Malaysia, right? What is the objective of criminal law then? Yeah, Maria said the correct statement to understand how land is being administered. How about criminal then?
I think criminal law governs the relationship between the state and the citizen and amongst the citizens.
Okay, that is how. What is the objective?
To prevent crimes.
To prevent crimes, and why why kan? So why prevention of crime is important?
To
To
maintain peace and order.
Peace and order in the country, right? So we cannot have peace and order if we were to have crimes, yeah. In the number, the rates of crime increase, so everyone else is unable to do their activities, yeah. So the economy will go down, and then the country will go down. Okay, you can look at countries in Africa without the ability to maintain structure, maintain the law. So no commerce can be done. And if you look at Iran, as Iran, Iraq, yeah? Iraq, Syria. So things are going haywire because there is no structure in that manner. So all the while that I already mentioned this, you have learned so far about law. The law can be categorized into two things. One is substance, one is procedure. So it depends. Sometimes you have a law that is a combination of both, national land code. National land code is more towards procedure, and also at the same time talks about substance. If you look at constitutional law, it is more of the substance rather than procedure. Yeah. If you look at criminal law, it is more of substance. You look at CPC, criminal procedure or civil procedure code, then it is more towards procedure. So all this while, Jurisprudence is a study that let you explore and the very nature of this law that you have learned and what you will discover in the entire course of your study. So because you never question so far, you never question the law that you have learned. Uh, I don't know whether you have become timid. Yeah? You don't want to ask question because you are afraid that your lecturer might be unhappy with you. I do have certain situation after my class when I promote student to question to argue, but it seems that our Western way of teaching. Lecturers don't like us to argue, agree to disagree and things like that. But you have that, you must have that in your mind and try to do it in a manner that you are able to ask question in a very proper manner and not to be arrogantly seen by the lecturer. Sometimes lecturer are very defensive, so you have to play that game, but you have to question them, from now on, because you are heading towards part 7 and part 6, sorry, part 6, part 7, Juris 1, right? They are heading towards part 6, part 7, and part 8. Those three semesters are very important to build your character, as a lawyer or as a legal thinker. So you should be able to, be out from your cocoon, from the last 5 semesters or 4 semesters, and including of your asasi, you should be able to have a good, strong understanding of the law, and you should be have to analyze, should be able to analyze the law and ask questions. Okay, so examples, when it comes to thought, jurisprudence in terms of thoughts, any example that you can come across? I think I already mentioned last week, right, about law of thoughts. Thoughts is more towards what, procedural or substantive? Is it substantive or procedural law?
Substantive.
Substantive, it's about how, sorry, it's about what rather than how. How, there is an element of how in law of thoughts, because some process or procedure must be established by the court in order to determine whether a person is liable under the law of thoughts. One example is like the neighborhood principle I discussed with you last week, right? When it comes to neighborhood principle, is a principle that is being established in order for us to determine whether you owe that responsibility to that person or not. You owe a duty. So in order for you to owe a duty, there must be two process, that you have to establish. Number one, i.e. process or test. Number one would be, if you are talking about negligence lah. Who remembers? Under the law, the thought of negligence, okay, thought of negligence is that if you were to do something to someone else that you should foresee, then you are going to be responsible to the losses of that person, It's things that you can foresee lah. So what would be the test then?
The test of reasonableness.
Okay, in order to establish negligence equals to duty plus the formula,
The duty of care, breach
plus
of duty,
breach of duty and
and then the
damage.
damage.
Damages, okay, you have to establish that. In order to establish duty, breach and damage, there will be tests for each one of them, right? In order for you to prove to the court that you owe a duty, you have breached that duty of standard that you have to maintain, and then the damages is caused by you alone, not by anyone else. So that is the procedure part. But as far as thought in general, 90% of the thought is about to determine the substance. So you can look at all the other contract law. What would be the principle in terms of that, in terms of jurisprudence? What you have learned? What is the substance of law of thoughts? What is the main principle of law of thoughts that you have to remember? What is the first element that you have to establish? If you people ask you about contract law, okay,
Whether there's a valid contract between the two people
how
involved in the parties, two parties.
two parties, okay. What do you need to establish then?
Contract,
The
the
elements of
understanding.
Elements, yeah. The elements is to formulate what? To show that they are what we call meeting of minds, yeah. They have that meeting of mind. If you don't have this element of contract fulfilled, then it shows that there are no elements of mind. Freedom of contract means that you are free to do whatever you want. And when you are able to do what you want, how do you determine whether there is a contract or between you and the other person? Is the consensus ad idem. Betul tak? There is a meeting of mind.
Yes,
Betul?
sir. Yes.
Okay. So that is the principle of jurisprudence. When you are talking about a law, the law have a objective. Yeah, the law have objective. We so far have not argued when it comes to katalah constitutional law. I already mentioned about Tempo, right? All this while you learn about SK is not valid because nobody the Yang di-Pertuan Agong cannot continue with the creation of law when parliament already sit, right? So why it's like that? Why cannot have two people in the country running the game, the show?
Because nanti there's no when there's two drivers, there's the direction would not be the same.
Yeah, imagine it. The country is a car. You cannot have two drivers, right? So
Yes, sir.
that is the argument that we have one God. we cannot have many gods. Yeah, because many gods will make things haywire. So constitutional law talks about why, because in that particular sense, if one of the law is invalid, what happened in the case of Techempo? What happened eventually in Techempo? He was released, right? But eventually they repeat the law, backdated it to 1957. Eventually he was caught and sentenced to death. Now, what if a law is considered as invalid? Do you know what I'm trying to ask you? When it comes to Techempo, if the law is really invalid and he is to be freed, why on earth that the government try so hard in order to get back to him? He is so wanted that the government wants to punish him because they found a revolver inside his with him, right? So when they do that roadblocks in Penang when there was a robbery, so why is it so important that the government wants to punish him?
In order to preserve justice, I guess.
Yeah, okay, good. Other than that, anyone?
To warn other citizens not to repeat his crime.
Okay, that is the main objective of the law, right? To control the behavior of the society. Lagi? Remember, in our class, anything goes. Yeah, there is no right and wrong answer. Ada tak? To show their power, okay, good. Can you imagine if he were to be released and due to the law that is invalid, he was caught in 1970 something, right? So 75, if I'm not mistaken. The law was created in 1960. What do you call it? The riots, 13 Mei 1965. Was it 65?
65.
65. From 65 until 75, roughly about 10 years, you know, many people was captured and sentenced to death. Okay, if in suddenly 1975, then the court says actually the law that you have been using to kill people all this while is wrong. What will happen to the government?
There would be an uprising. People get
Yeah,
mad.
because how can you kill someone when there is no law? You can only do something to someone if the law provides so, right? If the parliament or yang dipertuanggul in case of emergency is allowing for you to do so, so they allow for you to kill. But if that allowance is no longer valid, then all the while hundreds of people that you have already killed is actually you cannot kill them. It's wrong. Yeah, it's a criminal act. Okay, you cannot kill someone without justification of the law. So that is why we need to identify whether that particular law is correct or not. And this is where jurisprudence comes in, where when it comes to issues, when there is no law, the jurisprudence needs to solve that problem. Yeah, sorry. Just like the penggunaan nama Allah by the Christians, there was an issue that goes to the federal court, right? So issues of that nature, when there is no law to guide, there is no provision of statute that is able to give proper guidance, then jurisprudence is the method that is being used in order for the solution to be found. And there is various principle of jurisprudence that you can utilize in order for you to come out with your answer. Okay, so in all the papers that you have learned, jurisprudence has been applied. Yeah, it's just a matter of you not being able to decipher it, or maybe you have able to do that, which is good. What you need to do later on in the next coming semesters, this semester onwards, and throughout your life, you should be able to look at the foundations of why that particular law exists, for what purpose, what is the objective, and things like that. Okay, so that is why you are learning jurisprudence. Yeah, jurisprudence is in that nature. Yeah, so I mentioned about 4 wife and 1 husband. Okay, if there is no law as guidance, this is what going to happen. Yeah, wait. Right. Okay, this is what happened when the law is non-existent.
Kalau berapa banyak saya membunuh?
Boleh dengar tak?
Saya tidak.
Boleh.
Tapi begitu banyak.
Saya potongnya udah pakai emosi. Bunuh beta, tak bunuh si.
Saya Ronald Reagan, bekas komandan tentara anak pasukan Agas di kota Ambon.
Saya Iskandar Slamet, saya mantan pasukan jihad di Ambon.
The patchwork of Christian and Muslim communities on the island set about destroying each other as businesses and properties were put to the torch.
saat perang. Yesus penolong hidupku, beri aku. Anggapan kita saat itu kita beranggap kalau ini adalah perang suci. Kita membela agama dan membela tempat tinggal kita. Saya membunuh mereka saat itu dengan menggunakan senjata rakitan, menembak mereka itu dalam jarak yang sangat dekat. Mempertontonkan mayat lawan itu seperti membuat kita semakin kuat, semakin menggebu-gebu masuk dalam medan pertempuran.
Kita cukup sadis. Kalau saya sendiri masuk dengan dendam. Saya punya dendam yang cukup kuat. Saudara sepupu saya juga ketembak mati di tempat.
Di tempat ini orang-orang yang saya bunuh pun sering datang dalam tidur dan mimpi saya. Mereka selalu menghantui.
Perjalanan kita daerah muslim itu cuma kurang lebih ada sekitar berapa kilo aja dari Talaki ke Stein. Stres. Kayak kita tuh nggak bebas. Kita cuma jalan di tempat itu, situ lagi. Bisa nggak kita melangkah di sebelah? Mau melangkah di sebelah tapi ada rasa takut, Mbak. Saya dibunuh nggak? Jadi bandar, DP Makai, kehidupan malam.
Seandainya bisa berputar waktu kembali, saya ingin seperti anak-anak zaman sekarang sih bermain. Zaman dulu saya melihat begitu banyak, sampai teman-teman dekat pun meninggal. Yang saya lihat hanya darah dan mayat dan rumah-rumah yang terbakar. Kadang masa kecil yang bahagia untuk saya sih.
Masih dengan curiga, kita datang dengan curiga. Kita mulai dengan ngelirik-ngelirik aja, ngeliatinnya nggak berani senyum, nggak berani tegur kok.
Pas tahu dia muslim dan dia pemimpin dari pasukan jihad ini, di situ kita hampir berantem dan hampir saling bunuh di situ. Untung cepat panitianya langsung melalai dan mereda.
Kita tulis amarahnya kita, emosinya kita, rasa bencinya kita, rasa dendamnya kita. Kemudian kita bakar semua rame-rame. Saya bilang saya paling benci sama orang Kristen. Karena mereka, sepupu saya mati ditembak depan saya. Tapi akhirnya kita bakar semua.
Kita bercerita kalau di orang Kristen itu isunya kayak gini. Di Islam juga menceritakan isunya kayak gini. Padahal, loh kok isunya sama. Nah kita juga sama-sama tidak tahu. Dari situlah kita mulai sadar, oh ternyata ini hanya sebatas komunikasi sebenarnya.
Ronald yang bisa bikin kita semua akhirnya benar-benar nangis gitu. Ronald cuma bisa bangkit dan bilang, itu paling sayang kamu sama. Itulah sih. Lebur udah tuh. Mewah udah semua. Nangis. Itu paling sayang kamu semua. Karena beta bilang kamu sama beta saudara. Bikin kamu beta yang ada di muka. Siapa yang bikin kamu katong yang tongkan di muka? Kamu kakatolan katong yang ada di muka kamu.
Hendak kususuri dengan nafas di mancung hidungmu. Mengapa kau putar muka, saudara? Hendak kurabak.
Karena saya basicnya dance, saya ajak kawan-kawan untuk menari dan mengajak kawan-kawan untuk melukis, baca puisi. Dengan berkarya kita tunjukkan ke mereka kalau ya oke, kita mungkin dulu kita membunuh sesuai dengan apa yang Katakan kita merusak Ambon, sekarang kita ingin membangun Ambon dengan sini.
Kita anak muda Maluku, kita lah penerus Maluku ke depan.
Konflik Maluku itu tidak ada kalah atau menang, karena kita banyak yang mati, ya. Kita banyak yang juga rumah kita banyak yang terbakar, sama juga dengan mungkin juga sama dengan Kristen. Justru kita ini adalah imbas dari entahlah siapa yang punya perbuatan yang kita pada akhirnya kita yang kena imbas. Harapan mungkin semua titik mati ada di generasi kita aja, biarkan generasi kita yang merasakan itu, dan ya mungkin dengan menceritakan kisah kita mungkin orang di luar sana menonton dan mereka mengambil hikmah dari apa yang kita rasakan di sini.
Di kau penjaga zaman yang jantan, mari menyanyikan lagu nenek moyang.
Sorry, the line is getting not stable. Okay, if you look at that video just now, what do you think? That is what happened if there is no law, law and order in a given society. The society starts to crumble, and then they will start to kill one another, and nothing fruitful is going to be getting from the transaction, yeah, or from the incident. So whether their acts is justified, whether they are both right or both wrong, yeah. So this is something that we have to ponder, yeah, because the law is so important in establishing the stability of the society. And obviously from the jurisprudential part, in order for us to find the proper way of establishing peace, maybe is something that is most crucial for us to look upon or to discover. For example, we have this Malaysian perspective of discrimination. Yeah, we have discrimination between the non-Muslim and the Bumi and the Muslim, or the Malays. Yeah, the Malay rights and Bumi right. That is what we call affirmative action, right? So where does this affirmative action come from? Is it a creation of our own, or is it something that is coming from jurisprudential part? It is coming from the jurists in order for them to say that how to administer a country properly when you have disparity in a society. Whether it is right or wrong for us to continue having this so-called affirmative action laws in our country, that is another issue. But in 1957, that is the reality of things. If things are not being put into order, we might end up in racial riot in 1969. It might be worse than that. Okay, I still remember my brother said that during the 1969 riots, he was in Kampung Pandan, yeah, in Kampung Pandan, and he heard someone was walking in on the road, yeah, where you are not supposed to, and he heard shots, yeah, shots, and the army, when they come into our civilian society, their aim is to win, yeah, not to administer justice like what the police or order from what the police is doing. So you do not let army to come into the civilian world, because they are there to win, yeah. So they shoot, and within a few seconds the truck came and pull that person onto the truck and take him away. Irrespective whether you are justified in doing that, you know, anyone who opens up their door trying to sneak will be shot upon, you know, things like that. It is in a worse situation that we could be in in our entire history of Malaysia. So that is why jurisprudence is important for us to understand, especially when you are practicing later on, either you are as a judge or you are as the lawyer. Yeah, so you have to be able to understand the jurisprudential perspective of any issues in order for you to see the issue clearly. Okay, so far, any questions that you want to ask? Kesian kat dia orang with what happened to them. Hopefully nothing happens to us in that manner. Any questions that you want to ask so far? So, if there is none, so we look at this next slide, how jurisprudence is being derived. We look at the jurisprudential views of jurists. Yeah. So, as I already mentioned, you have to remember them, their names and their thinking. You know, do not rely on the books that you have with you from your seniors. It is misleading, but if you can use it to enhance your understanding, by all means, you can do that. Yeah. Why can I be the one making jurisprudential views? We are not at that level to be able to come up with our jurisprudential views, where these jurisprudential views are being made by people who are esteemed thinkers. Yeah, they are either they are scientists, social scientists, whether they are theories, you know, and they are like from hundreds of years or thousands of years, they have established that kind of thinking, and so that particular thinking is actually being accepted by the society, you know. How do I get their knowledge? Obviously by reading. And how do I remember what and who, so that I can apply them to where and why? This is something that you have to understand. Once you understand Mr. A, say for example, you want to understand Jeremy Bentham or John Stuart Mill. Yeah, once you know them, they are thinking, and then you should be able to apply. And this is where the final will come in to test you whether you understand the whole concept of jurisprudential perspective of jurisprudence under the syllabus. As I already mentioned, do not cross over and put someone that we have never introduced in our syllabus. Why it is like that? Because I thought it was a freedom of you to understand anything. It can come from anyone. Yeah, it might be the one that argument that you might raise, but no, we are looking only to the established jurisprudential views, and in order for us to streamline everyone, in order for them to understand a few things, and then we will be testing you on that. Otherwise, if we were to open the floodgate, then we would not have one standard that we can identify whether that person understand the jurisprudential perspective or not. These are all world-renowned people, and it being applied in most of the countries in the world, or in the legal decision, yeah, of courts throughout the world. Okay, so let's look at the first area. Who do we study? We will need to study those on classical period, modern period, and postmodern period, 1960s and to the current. So the postmodern, you'll be studying them in Juris 2, right? Modern period is for Juris 1, and classical period is also Juris 1.
Sir?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, are you sharing the slide right now?
Oh my God! See. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Sorry.
Sorry. No, it's okay. You please, please remind me, because sometimes so many things to maintain. Okay. Who do we study? The classical period. Yeah. Can you see this?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, you have classical period, modern period, and postmodern period. 1960s to current, which are you're going to learn in Juris 2. But the modern period and classical period we'll be learning in Juris 1. Yeah? So we look at the classical period first: Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Cicero. Okay, hopefully we'll be able to complete them by today. So philosophers and jurists, what would be the differences between them? You know, do you know philosophers are thinkers of they love to think, but jurists they are deeper than that. If you have this analogy of a root, yeah, philosophy you can see on the right side, the top side. Okay, philosophy, love of thinking, where we contain all the philosophers. However, if we look at jurisprudence, is only one branch, yeah, of the root, yeah, whereby philosophy of law is very specific, yeah, very specific, that is meant for law alone, yeah. So we have legal thinkers or legal philosophers thinking about the nature of law. And on top of that, other branches we can compare and contrast. There are philosophers of language, of politics, of religion, history, education, maths, and so on. Okay, there are many, yeah, but we are looking at only one of the branch of the roots. Okay, let's look at the meaning of law. If you look at the meaning of law, obviously there are various interpretation of the law, and obviously no single interpretation can be definite. Yeah. Obviously, if you were to do some interpretation of law by your understanding, cannot be defined. Yeah. Throughout the time, interpretation of law differs, yeah, because the society that we have over that time, how they understand the law is different. If you look at the nature of when we were during zaman Kesultanan Melayu Melaka, if you were born there today, if you are living in that situation, your understanding of the law is different, because law is something that is ordained by the king, and he has the authority by virtue of what status that is given by God. Okay, and coming back today, if you utilize the same argument, you would definitely reject that statement saying that nobody is ordained by God, only for the prophets, for us to identify. Even that, people who doesn't believe in religion say that prophets are just human beings, therefore they are nothing. Now, it depends on the time, it depends on the locality that you are in. So obviously it carries different meaning. Okay, so meaning of classical period, let's look at the classical period, which is in Greece, yeah, 400 BC to 0 BC, 0 BC, yeah, considered as Christ, before Christ and after Christ. Did not talk specifically on law, but or towards life and society. Yeah, back then people do not actually talk about law. Even some of them do talk about law because the gist of what they are doing is about law. Say for example, Plato, yeah, Aristotle, they produce books, yeah, which is basically about law. Okay, I can't remember what is this. Let me have a look. What is the video? I don't know whether we should see this. Okay, let's see this. How do I? Sorry, guys. Settings. Can you hear the voice? Is it cracking like it used to be? Just now?
No, sir.
No. Okay, good.
Pop quiz. Are you a Platonist or an Aristotelian? An idealist or...
Is it something that is cracking?
No, it is.
It is,
It is.
No, no, oh yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
cracking sekali
An
lagi.
empiricist.
Tak boleh. Okay. So later you have a look at this video once I give you the the slides. Okay, let me share the slide balik. Hold on. Okay. Continuing the slide. We do have what we call Sophia or sophists, yeah. People who taught how what law is, yeah. They are lectures of law, yeah. What we call back then lectures of law. They go from house to house to teach the knowledge of how to defend yourself, because back then you have to present your case, you have to like defend yourself, yeah. When somebody is making a claim towards you, the art of defending yourself, yeah, that is being taught by this sophists. Now Plato, he is the one that produced the first university in the world, academy, and he raised questions, yeah, about why do we have to obey the law, yeah, uh, whether it is justified for us to go against the law or not. So Plato is against sophists in a way that from his writing, because he portrays Socrates, his actually teacher. Socrates is his teacher of Plato, the teacher of Plato. So Plato, in his writing, Socrates did not write anything. Uh, Plato is the one that is writing about Socrates. Now, so he portrays that Socrates doesn't like sophists. Yeah, the sophists, as I mentioned, people who taught the law, and they will charge. Yeah, they will have to be given fees. But Socrates, according to Plato, did not charge anything. Okay, it is for free, and he is actually what they call it, cobbler, a person that is living on the street, and people like to see him because they like him to make them ponder, make them question about everything, rather than sophists, where sophists they charge, and also the standard of their teaching is not the way that the youngsters back then would like to study law or study life. Yeah. So he asked us to reason in order for us to know the truth. We have to use our brain. We have to ask questions in order for us to identify whether we have to follow the law or not. And truth is about justice, equality, and fairness. And the first duty to civil law, whether you are to follow the law or to follow your conscience. Uh, Maybe you are not getting me this. What if I were to say, why don't you kill? Is it something that is through the provision of the law, because the law prohibits you from killing, or maybe because you don't want to kill? If you want to kill, why you don't want to kill? What is the reason? It is but can stay. What do you think about? Can you listen to me, or are you able to listen to me or not? Still,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
boleh. Okay, good. So, my question to you is that if killing is wrong, why do you think that killing is wrong?
Why? Because
It's
we're not
against
God. We shouldn't take a life.
You shouldn't. Who says that you shouldn't take a life? Danis
Um,
kata not morally right. Nabil kata conscience.
Religious say we
Where
can.
do you get the conscience from, Nabil? Sorry, somebody said God. Okay. Who else?
So if based on the social contract, we shouldn't be harming another person.
Why? Where is the contract then?
I Isn't the social contract an implied contract between members of the society?
If I don't sign any contract, why should I follow that contract? I mean, those who are using religious excuse is saying that religion is clearly stating that you are not to kill. Marine kata empathy. Empathy, what makes you have that empathy?
Because once you start killing another person, the family of the other person will kill you, and then it goes on and on and on.
So what is the outcome then?
So there'll be not war,
Chaos.
but like chaos.
Chaos. So chaos in our society because, you know, have you seen the movie? What do you call it? That you allow to kill anyone you like within one whole day.
Yeah, that
Purge.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
movie
Purge.
Purge, right? So the Purge. Yeah. If you look at that movie, that situation, if you were to allow things to happen, would it not be a good way of releasing our stress?
No, because for the next purge, you'll be fearing for your life because you went out to kill another, so the family of that person will come and kill you. So it's a never-ending cycle.
It never ends cycle, right? Correct. So here, the main thing that he is trying to say, the duty for you to follow the law is because the law actually brings goodness to the society. You have been living so far in our society, let's say in Malaysia, because the law that has been providing us the security of life that we have in Malaysia so far is good. And then suddenly we have one law that says that you don't agree with it, then should you ignore the law? What do you think?
I mean, if the law needs mending to fit with the current world, then yes.
Yeah, okay. So in Socrates' situation, he was attacked by sophists, you know, when they are not happy, they don't get any more students. You know, they are jealous of him because he doesn't charge, but yet he has so many students coming to see him. All he did was to make them to inquire about things. So eventually they charge him of what do you call it, disbelieving in the gods, yeah, of that day, and then on top of that misleading the mental or the ideology of the youngsters at that point of time. So they sentenced him to death. Now, while he was in capture, they asked him just admit, yeah, you just admit to your wrongdoings, and they will like put you somewhere on an island. Still, you will be living, yeah. But he doesn't agree. No, he says all this while that I have been living because of the law that has been applied towards me. I have no problem with it. But when it comes to this particular law that wants me to die, if I need to die, then I have to die. Okay. If you read Plato's writing on Socrates, you will see how he argues, yeah, in terms of obedience towards the law. Okay, there's so many things that I want to inform you, but due to the time limit, I hope that you are able to do readings on your own. I will provide you, I think I already provided you with the link, right? But if you want to have more about this, I can easily pass it to you later on. So that is Plato writings. Yeah, quite a number of books that he produced. We still have the books until today. Aristotle is the student of Plato. Okay, Plato is the student of Socrates. Cicero is the one that is living during the period of Caesar. Yeah, he is a lawyer. Okay, that is what I'm trying to say is that these thinkers back then, they are trying to ask you to find the truth by virtue of thinking or asking questions. Yeah. So let's look at Socrates. As I mentioned, no writings. Yeah. Some of the writers, Plato, Xenophon, Aristotle, yeah, Aristophanes, did mention about him, and they, with that, says that he is inexistent. Okay, so we have the Socratic problems that he raised in his stand view of law, okay, or politics. Yeah. Method of knowledge, probing philosopher, meaning if you were to have a person, dia macam budak-budak kecil, it's like if you have a child asking you a question, then you are unable to answer, or if you give that child an answer, he will start to ask based on that. Okay, it's just like bangau bangau, song, right? Where you ask again and again, the question is going to be repeatedly and asked over and over again, and until it makes sense. Yeah, until it makes sense. In bangau bangau, the last would be ular kenapa makan apa? Tikus. What was the name? Anyone knows about bangau bangau?
Yes.
Bangau. What was the last? Because of the rice, and then because of the rat, and then the snake kills the rat, right? So snake, why do you kill the rats? It is my food. So you go to the extent that you try to find the truth by listing down questions again and again. You ask and ask and ask until you are able to discover the truth, okay, the reality. So this is what do you call it, to Socrates. He was sentenced to death by poisoning. We have Plato. Plato, you can look at the YouTube link here. I put Plato's idea. Now, basically, Plato is trying to ask us to achieve eudaimonia, or fulfillment. Let me pause kejap. If you're looking at this, what they call it, philosophers or jurists, right? Not jurists per se, but philosophers. These philosophers back then, they are more towards asking you individually to be able to find yourself, in order for you to understand yourself. They do not ask, they do not present something that is in general. Law is not about everyone. Law is about you. Okay, if you are able to change, it is all about individual. If the individual can change, and collectively all individual can change, and the whole society will change. Okay? It is not like what we are applying today. Law is being passed down to the society, and for the society to absorb and society to obey. Now, obedience is based on your understanding. If you force someone to force them to obey, just like just now, the girl who smoked, you cannot force that person to stop smoking just because you are, you say that I am the law. Just like what Kerajaan Kelantan wants to do to prohibit certain behavior of the society. If society wants to do it, negative behavior, they will still find ways to do it. There's no point for you to stop, because if one person wants to do evil thing, they will do that evil thing, irrespective whether you have law or not. That is why we see nowadays, people still do negative things. Yeah, there are laws, but the laws does not prevent them from doing things. And according to some jurists, according to this jurist, yeah, basically, you don't do things because you understand the reason why you are not doing things. You don't kill because you know why you don't want to kill, and the effects of the killing. Is going to be repetition, and then the society will start to collapse. So your understanding, the individual understanding, is the core. of this the group of people, yeah, that is portraying that individual have to understand the law. Okay. So compared to this current jurists, they are more towards idea. Yeah, they promote an idea. That idea would have some people, accepting it and following it, but some people, have some other ideas. So coming back to Plato, he says that actually we in this world we are trying to find fulfillment, yeah, of our life. So some people they don't know what they are doing. They say that they are in limbo. I don't know what is the meaning of life. Life is hopeless. I don't see the clarity of life. Actually, you want to be able to feel fulfilled. You want to find that happiness in life. Okay, so in order for you to find that happiness or fulfillment, you might be asking, what do you mean by fulfillment? Okay, have you ever helped someone in trouble? If law is made to maintain the peace and control of people to behave in case of the law itself is not in line with the people mind nowadays, like the act of committing suicide is an offense, is it a little harsh? What do you mean by that, James?
What I mean, sir, is that when the law is made
Mhm.
to maintain the peace and, of course, to control the behavior of the people,
True.
but in a case where the law itself is not in line with what the people think right now, like the law itself stated that, um, an act where a person is committing
Suicide.
suicide, it will amount to a crime. So
Yeah.
isn't it will be quite the law itself is quite harsh for the people who have a
Mm-mm.
mental problem like that to being
Mm.
prosecuted by the law.
True. So the moral of the story, if you want to commit suicide, what do you need to do?
Or maybe
You
like
have to do it
you
right.
can
Pardon?
sorry.
You have to do it right so that you wouldn't be persecuted.
Or maybe like
If you
you
want to
can,
commit, yeah, I do agree with that. If you want to commit suicide, make sure you are dead. So therefore, you are not going to be prosecuted.
okay, sir.
Sorry,
Because
that's a bit insensitive, but yeah.
yeah, that is the reality, right? If you if you are not making sure that you die, then the law will come in to punish you just because you make a trial to commit suicide. Yeah, you have an attempt suicide. Okay, I don't know whether I answer you, James, but isn't something of nature like you have learned about medical law, euthanasia, mercy killing?
Yes, sir.
So that is an issue, right? How come if that law is prevailing throughout the world, how come the European countries, some of the European countries allow for mercy killing? Is it something that is odd?
I mean, if that person is suffering, then
Mm-hmm.
why shouldn't that person stop his suffering and just,
Yeah, there is a positive and negative euthanasia, right?
yeah.
Active and passive euthanasia. So that in itself is an issue for you to be able to determine whether if I want to die and I don't want it to lengthen my day on earth. So then it's up to me to decide. So I have a story that that my wife she always remind to my family members, do not let me decide whether I want to off the life support system or not, because I would definitely off the system. Why? Because to me, death is death. If it's fated, it's fated. Then if you that is the time of you on earth, then that's it. But she always remind my family member, do not let me decide to off the system, because there is a chance that she might be able to survive. Okay, I don't know whether I answer you, Jim, because jury is is odd in a sense that there is no correct answer. Okay, what we are to do is just investigate and know them. Once we are able to know them, and we choose which one that is close to our hearts. So my duty is actually presenting you with all these people and what they say about things. Yeah, especially when they are talking about law. Okay, coming back. Coming back to Plato, my question before I answer James just now is fulfillment. Do you ever be in a position that you have helped somebody out from their problems that they are facing, and you manage to settle their problem? How do you feel? Relief, yes. Satisfied, good. Useful, yes. And did you not feel happy? Happy is a proud, yes. It is all this. You talk about relief, satisfied, useful, proud. They are fulfillment things, elements that is in your heart. You feel happy, yeah. You're happy in the sense that you feel useful, proud, relief, satisfied, yeah. And these are the aim of our life, actually, to be useful for the society and by doing good deeds, yeah. So in order to do that, he says that one have to go through these four things. One is that thinking of knowing yourself rather than on impulse, meaning you get to know in the methods of Socratic discussion just now. You start to inquire. If you say that killing is wrong, say for example, yeah, MCO. No, you are being let go from your work. You don't have any work. You don't have any money. So therefore, you are pressured into paying your debt. Yeah. Okay lah, that is one thing. But if you have your kids, your kid doesn't know anything. He or she is hungry. So what do you do? Do you steal? Or what do you do? So you might have an answer in your mind, but this is what Plato is saying, that you have to yourself rationalize why or why you want to do it, why you don't want to do it. Okay, so to be able to think is one thing that is going to bring fulfillment to your life. Second, he says that let your lover change you. Okay, your lover who loves you wants to change you to the things that it is better. Okay, because when you are in a relationship, you are loving the other person because you have seen the positive and the negative thing of that person. What you want to do is, because that person doesn't see the negative thing of himself or herself, you as the person looking outside, yeah, from the outside looking inside of that person, you know the negative part of that person, so you want to change that person's negative parts, yeah. So does the other lover towards you, so they know what is your negative things which you never realize, and they want to change you to a better one. So this is where you are letting your lover change you. Okay. Me, for example, I like to spend my money. Right. I'm old. I like to spend my money that I think I deserve to spend. My wife said that rather than wasting your money on things that you like, it's not your needs, but your wants. Okay. So why not you save it up for your later years? I say I might be dying, so I just want to enjoy. But she is having some kind of woman. You have that forward thinking, and she is able to convince me to save money in order for me to use that money when later in time, say for example, when I pension and so on. So your lover, you will only get fulfillment if you are able to let your lover change you, yeah, to be a better person. Obviously, lover is the person that is going to change to a positive thing rather than negative. No lovers is going to kill the other person by asking him to or her to do negative things. Yeah. And then the third one is to decade message of beauty. Yeah. What are the things that you are missing in life? Yeah. So you like beauty, obviously, right? Allah ni maha cantik, yeah. He is so beautiful because the things that we can see around us is so beautiful, right? So we see people, we will see animals, we will see the environment, you know, the how perfect it is, how beautiful it is. So what you need to do is to find the qualities that is missing in your life in terms of beauty. So it is not only about work. You know, work is about money, but it is all about trying to fulfill yourself in terms of beauty. I, for one, who likes to ride my bike, if I can't ride bike, I would go to the YouTube and look at riding, you know, riding videos, and I would like to see the beautiful environment that they while they were driving, and immerse myself with the beauty of God. Yeah, and I think if you are able to see a person who is a rider, and if you ask that person, the beauty that he is trying to see is the beauty of God. Yeah, the things that is so beautiful surrounding them. And the last one is the reform of the society by producing philosophers, meaning you are an agent of the society whereby your duty is to produce philosophers, thinkers like yourself. Because number one, if you look at thinking, number one just now, you are yourself as a thinker, right? Because you apply Socratic method. So the same thing as you cannot be selfish in order for you to know what is right, what is wrong. You have to let other people know also of how they are to achieve fulfillment of the oneself. Okay, so after this, if you are the one that is knowing about law, law is not about you to make money. Obviously, it's all about money nowadays, kan? You have to secure the best job possible, get the highest salary. Actually, according to Plato, no, you are not supposed to do that. You have to give back to the society in the sense that you have to produce philosophers out of them. Yeah, thinking of yourself. If every one of us thinks about things, yeah, and we would not do the things that we have done. Say, for example, you see people smoking in the car and then throwing the butts, yeah, outside the car, throwing their rubbish outside the car, their cars. The mentality is because you don't think. You just do it because of you want to do it. Yeah, the impulse is to do these things. But you don't see this in the Western world because they have gone to a level that they are able to think. And this is where Plato's idea has been absorbed into the society mindset, which is not yet in us, in our society. I saw with my own eyes a person who parks the car next to the yellow and what do you call it, green dustbin, where you can just simply open your open your door and throw it inside. I mean, literally next to her, but she opened the door, opened the window, and threw the rubbish on the floor. I don't know what is the idea, the thinking of that person. So first, you don't think about the environment. You don't think about the cleanliness. You don't think about what they call it, the illness. Yeah, in terms of the problem that it can bring to the society. Yeah, because filthy, yeah, filthy environment, filthy condition of life. So up until now, Sweden, they do not close down under COVID. Yeah, they do not close down their economy, but their numbers is getting lesser and lesser as compared to other European countries who close their gates. So why? Because the mentality is there. Okay, no matter the hardship, the risk that is so high, but still they can manage to pull it down because it is inside them. Yeah, they are with the idea of the thinkers that like Plato, yeah, to be able to produce good things. Questions so far? Okay, so think about your life. This is the fulfillment. Try this, and I have tried a number of times on not I mean not everything in one go, but over a period of time, I have tried 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, it brings fulfillment, yeah, to my life. Try it out, and hopefully you will get that fulfillment also. Aristotle, the last one before we end the class. Aristotle is the, as I mentioned, he is the student of Plato. Yeah, he is actually the student, the master of Alexander the Great. Okay, this is the Sifu of Alexander. So he taught Alexander. I mean, Alexander and him have that relationship whereby when Alexander goes to the Eastern world, he used to brought back, I mean, send back specimen, because Aristotle is more towards physical. He looks at materialistic thing. Materialistic meaning he looks at mathematics, physical, biology, zoology, metaphysics, logic, where he is empiricist. Yeah, empiricist meaning empirical data. He looks at all data. As compared to Plato, as you can see here, is looking more towards thinking. Yeah, it's more about rationalizing. So rational, you use your thinking to rationalize things, but Aristotle is more towards looking at facts, data. Yeah. So anything of data that you can gather is the one thing that should be able to determine, yeah, what you want to change or what you want to be able to achieve. Okay. Um, so when it comes to example that you do not kill, right? For example, like here, you do not kill because you can see the impact, the impact of that particular act that should be going to be negative to the society if you keep on able to kill one another. As compared to Plato, you don't kill because that is not one of your destiny. Yeah, all you need to do is you want to be able to love someone, to be able to find beautiness. If you are able to do this, obviously killing is never in your mind. Yeah, in fact, killing yourself also it's not going to be in your mind. Okay, I think that's it. Oh, Cicero, last one. So Cicero, statement, lawyer, philosopher. He says that teaching that virtues is the only good. Yeah, virtues. Yeah, when it comes to virtues, just like Aristotle, virtues is something that we want to achieve in our life. Virtues, for example, being brave. Yeah, doing goodness. But in our Malay proverbs, we say that buat baik berpada-pada, buat jahat jangan sekali, right? So virtues, you are to do good, but you don't do good to the extent that you do good all the way, all the time, because people will take advantage of you. Okay? Buat baik berpada-pada, right? Buat jahat jangan sekali. You can see the proverbs logic, because what we want to do in life is to be able to produce good virtues being brave, being kind, be able to like help people, those are good virtues that we that they are saying. Now with these four people, and we will be able to formulate our. There's two more Stoics. Yeah, they are asking us to also think what are the virtues that is good, and then Heraclitus is someone that is what we call weeping philosopher. You don't have to understand him because quite a number of he doesn't have documents for us to understand him in proper, but he is a very abstract person. Yeah, so just let it let him go. The last slide. Oh, okay. That the two. You try to read this. I will make you understand of his position if you really want to understand him. But so far, that is the nature of the what they call it, the what was it? The classical period. Yeah, the classical period. Jurists or philosophers. Philosophers that come to jurists, yeah, that formulates into jurists that we can understand. So clear, inshallah. That is the first task. For Group G, obviously you have to prepare yourself. Cik Nazim is the one that is going to ask you a lot of nasty questions, right? So you have to do a lot of reading as compared to my group. I would stick to the syllabus. So any question we segmentize to only the coverage of the syllabus. Yeah. So done for classical period. These are coming back to recap. They are more or less trying to change the mindset of individuals. Okay, if you read their materials, their books, yeah, it is more towards making you realize yourself, not about convincing others. You don't have to convince others. Meaning, if any law is to be laid out in front of you, you will think about the law rather than you akan melata, you akan kata this I don't like this, things like that. For example, taxation law. If the government say that the tax is to be increased to a certain number of percentage, then you feel that it is not happy. You are not happy because you are the earners of you have been working like crazy, yeah. You don't sleep, you want to get as much money as possible, and then suddenly government say, excuse me, you pay tax on the increase from last year. You feel it's not fair, it is not just. So you have to rationalize the reason. Yeah. So if you look at the European countries, they have high taxes, but you see how they spend towards the society. But in our society, is totally different. Maybe we tax the taxation money do not reach target group. Yeah, somehow there's bocor besar sana sini, things like that. That is sad. Yeah. But if you were to do it proper, even our zakat could settle a lot of other people's problem. Zakat is not, to me, zakat is not to be used only for the Muslim, for the non-Muslim, irrespective of whether they are, what they call it, as long as they meet the criteria. If they are poor, irrespective of who are poor, we as Muslim, we should be able to utilize that money to help them, irrespective whether they believe in God or not. Okay, as long as it is poor. All right. So try to think from now on. Don't let anyone force you to believe in something that they believe in, unless and until they are able to convince you, and not for them to convince you, for you to ask them question until they are able to explain clearly to you. Then only you may want to follow their ideas. Okay, so the same things. So with that, any question that you want to ask before we end the session? It's too long already, 1.5 hours. I'm sorry to take up your time, but I'll try my best to complete the recording prior to the class, and within the class you can read, you can look at the video, and we can come in to discuss and then go on. Question, guys? Are you still here?
Yes, sir.
Right.
So will
Okay.
you share the slides?
Yeah, I will share the slides.
Alright,
Don't worry.
okay.
The
Thank
whole
you.
slide. I have like 310 slides. So don't worry about that. The materials you will be able to look for yourself. The main goal is for you to understand. Once you understand, there is no issue there. Yeah, because exam they don't ask you to repeat what are the things that is being stated in detail. Well, it's just a concept. Yeah, the concept. If you are able to say to repeat the concept and understand the concept by virtue of your own writings, then it should be okay, right? So I will give you a problem for you to go into your future. If you can go into your future, is not good in terms of forum, but I don't know. We will try to do it in that manner. If it's not, then I think of something. So if there is no question, thank you so much for coming to class. If you have any question, please write them down. Pass it to the group WhatsApp, personal WhatsApp, yeah, or the you future. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.
Yes, sir.
Take care. The video I will update it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Okay. Be safe. Be safe. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.